These tuning forks are resonating to the sound of Om, which is the universal sound of balance, peace. It's basically the sound that every object makes when you average all the objects together. Every cell, every atom vibrates at a specific frequency. And if you look at that frequency and you had ears that were able to listen to it, it would make a sound. And every object has their own different sounds depending on its density and size. When you take the sum of all those sounds and you average it together, it's the universal sound of Om. That's why it's such an important sound in spiritual and healing practices, both esoteric as well as modern medical applications. As we know that, as Joe Dispenza puts it, a fantastic quote, science is the modern language of mysticism. And that things like tuning forks that we didn't know how they worked or how sound affected the body, we now have direct relationships and scientific evidence proving how tonal frequencies can entrain different cells to vibrate differently, different nerve pathways to open up, different areas of the brain to be stimulated, and the brainwave patterns themselves to change states. So what was once thought of as being voodoo is now an actual, verifiable, reproducible, and predictable science of the body. As Aldous Huxley said, a science so sophisticated seems as if magic to the uninitiated. So we're using this double Om tuning fork on the point kidney 1 on the bottom of the feet. The Chinese name translates to bubbling spring. It's the point where we energetically connect to the earth, the base of our foot. It's also the point where nerve centers and pathways that measure all the bones, all the muscle, all the tendons tension as you move and keep your balance. It gives feedback back up to the brain as to where you are on the planet in time and space. If you're leaning forward, backwards, if there's tension, if you're angry, if you need to react, the whole bottom of the foot changes. So because John is also having some lower back pain, we're going to use some points in the back of the knee. The 40th point on the bladder channel, which is right in the center point of the crook of the back of the knee. It's effectively named UB40, not after the band, but if you want to have some red, red wine, it's fine. Red, red wine. This point's important for him, just like that lower ankle point, because this is a command point for the back. They knew in China that these points affected the lower back. Maybe not exactly why. Through modern anatomy now we know the hamstrings cross the back of the knee and cross the hips to connect to the lower back and the pelvis. And that when we have lower back tension or instability, it can be due to hamstring shortness and tension, or vice versa. The hamstrings can tighten up as a response to instability and tension in the lower back. So we use our seesaw theory that we were talking about with the fulcrum of the hips being balanced by the head and the feet or the ankles and the neck. The same thing also holds true with the lower back and the hamstrings. The fulcrum point of the center here is the hip and the pelvis as well. Following our path up, let's bring in balance and wholeness, like peace and calm to the SI joints. The SI joints are important because all the weight from the spine, the organs, the body, the muscle, everything from the torso to the arms and the head all comes down and gets placed on these two almost dime-sized like little pieces of bone and the SI joints. And then that force gets distributed through the hips down each one of the legs. So they really are a workhorse for the body. And if you've ever had the unfortunate privilege of having one of your SI joints go out, you'll know that your whole entire body gets locked up. You get stuck. Really important, especially for an athlete, but for anybody, even a mother, a father, caretaker, senior citizen, to live effectively, to have good balance of this lumbar sacral area. And even if you're afraid of acupuncture needles or can't be needled for some reason, tuning fork therapy is a fantastic modality to allow people to get some relief from their pain, some corrective therapy as well, without having any insertion from needles or things like that. And come up to the mid-back area. This is the first area where those lumbar muscles start to attach into the ribs, thoracic cage, to anchor themselves down. So we're just smoothing out all the dough. Think about the muscles of the body, the tendons, the connective tissue, the energetic pathways, the meridians, all that is summed up and termed qi, your metabolism. Got to look at all the anchor points, the physical attachments, the leverage points, and roll out the dough, roll out the tension between all those different systems and how they work. Is the blood flowing correctly? Is lymphatic flow moving correctly to move the waste products away from the cells or any injuries that are going on? Is muscle tension balanced? Is the supporting structure of the body, the framework, the skeleton, well aligned? He started John off today with making sure his skeletal structure, his framework, was well balanced and symmetrical. Then started looking into the soft tissues. Those pulley systems that pull that framework in and out of position are well balanced. And now tuning in the cells and the muscles and the organs. It's all relayed as one, vibrating at the same frequency. I come back. Switch the tuning fork we're using. This is a solar tuning fork. This one resonates to the sound that comes out of the sun itself. So if you had access to a space satellite and translated all the radio frequencies and light frequencies all to a sound, the temperature, the heat, all those little particles flying off the sun, that sound would sound like this tuning fork. It's a beautiful, warm tone. It's a lower range of notes, but not very deep. It's got some brightness and life to it. It's really, really good for unblocking stagnations, where things are stuck, not moving as well as they should, fluids or physical tissues of the body. All pain in Chinese medicine is rooted in the stagnation or stasis of either blood, the physical matters of the body, or qi, the metabolic or ethereal matters of the body. So either structures or processes, you could look at it as. Blood stagnation is a structural stuckiness, and qi stagnation, a process stuckiness. And yes, that's a brand new word I just made up. Some people occasionally ask why I'm not using the Earth Day resonance tuning fork. Earth Day tends to work better for amassments of scar tissue. So if somebody had a scar, a keloid, an adhesion, a long-lasting induration in a muscle, something where the physical structures have bound up and physically changed, that tone is a much higher tone. It's a much smaller tuning fork, and that resonant frequency breaks up those physical tissues a little bit better. It's more warming, soothing, nurturing.